Hey there everyone, welcome back to Jimothy Listens. My name is Jimothy and welcome to the first episode of kind of a new, hopefully weekly thing that we're going to be doing. For the backstory on what we're doing here, let me give you some Jimothy Listens lore. So the whole Jimothy Listens thing started actually like around about a year ago on the Instagram account where I was just listening to a new album every day and just sharing my thoughts on it because I've been keeping just a list of like, albums I need to listen to, and I wasn't listening to as many as I was putting on the list. And so I kind of finally went, all right, we're gonna like make this a thing, album a day, may as well sort of record my thoughts on them to know what's going on. And that became that, which then became this here. But since kind of swapping over to doing this, I've like let the daily album stuff go, and that list has started just piling up again, and I was like, oh shit, we need to get through it. So I've started listening again to an album a day. If you want to be there for the full reactions for each one, go follow the Instagram. They're there on the stories and also all highlighted, all of the past ones. But I thought it would be fun to just sort of check in once a week and make a little video talking about what I have listened to this week. And so that's what we're doing. I've got 7 albums, and by 7 I actually mean 6 albums and 2 EPs. I did a little just like double EP day in there. We're just gonna go through them and I'm gonna quickly tell you my thoughts of them. So let's go.
Fuck it, bitch, I'm not nice. Fuck y'all niggas.
So first up, I listened to the new album from Megan Thee Stallion, Traumazine, and we all love Megan. Everyone loves Megan. She makes great music. It's just, in my opinion, she's still yet to put out like an album or a mixtape that's really great. Traumazine's no different. There's a lot of stuff to like here. There's a lot of good songs, like the sort of groovy kind of house influence on Her, or the just really scathing mean raps on Not Nice. But between these great tracks, there's just a lot of sort of filler. And it's frustrating because a lot of these songs are just worse versions of songs that are already there. For example, we have the tracks Anxiety and Flip Flop that come one after the other. Anxiety is a nice sort of like introspective, vulnerable moment for Megan. The beat's cool, the rapping's done really well, and it's a nice little song. Then straight after that we get Flip Flop, which is the same sort of thing but done over a worse beat and less in depth, and then it just kind of awkwardly fades out after 2 minutes, and it's like, was that really necessary? That's kind of the big thing about this album, is that there's a lot of good stuff, but there's also just a lot of unnecessary stuff that kind of bloats it out. But still, there are bangers in there. There's definite bangers in there. It's still worth a listen if you like Megan's stuff. So yeah, it's fine. 6 to 7 out of 10. Next, we move to Umru, who has just dropped, I guess, like a remix album of his Comfort Noise mixtape that he dropped a few months ago. For this remix album, Umru's just brought on a lot of really, really cool people to do some really cool remixes, and it's good stuff. Check 1 is cemented in the position of like the hardest song ever made. There's 3 remixes of it on this EP. There's the incredible remix with William Crooks and Cali Cardia, who I adore both of those rappers, and so having them on this track is just my dreams come true, and it's phenomenal. And then there's the just insane Bananas remix from Six Impala, which is wacky as hell and gorgeous. I love it. Heart 2, which is a song that I absolutely love. I don't think the remixes quite reach the same level as the original track. They're still nice though. Losing My Mind was one of the songs that I didn't really care about on the original album, and I don't really care about any of the remixes either. It's just kind of whatever. Speaker is a song that I actually completely forgot existed until coming into this remix album, but the LAN Party remix of it here is absolutely gorgeous, and I absolutely love Lewis Grant's take on the title track Comfort Noise. I think he's the perfect person for it, and it's just a really gorgeous track. Overall, it's just great remixes by a lot of my favorite artists, so absolutely I'm here for it. It's a 7 out of 10.
Little nigga, but my pocket's big bone. When I'm done fucking, when it done, she gets sent home.
ShittyBoyz have released their second kind of compilation mix or whatever, Trifecta 2. I listened to the first Trifecta earlier this year and absolutely hated it. It's one of my least favorite albums I've listened to this year. I thought it was literally just 22 tracks with the exact same beat, no hooks or anything to make it kind of stand out, just the same offbeat flow, and none of the punchlines were funny at all. None of the lines were clever. It was just for 22 straight songs, exactly the same, and I absolutely despised it. Trifecta 2 is a bit of an improvement. It's still not phenomenal, but for one, it's shorter, which is great. It's only 14 tracks instead of 22. The beats are a little more varied and there's a few more interesting ones in there, so that makes it less of a slog to listen to. The rapping is still that same very offbeat kind of like spoken flow, but it just, I don't know, I think I've gotten used to it now and it's not as jarring anymore. Plus there's even like one or two moments where they actually approach like almost an actual flow, which is, you know, one day you'll get there, boys. And the punchlines are slightly improved, as in I did actually recognize some of them as punchlines this time. Though if I have to hear one more Drake pun, I'm gonna commit a felony. I still just don't really get the appeal of ShittyBoyz though. Like they're comedy rappers, at least I assume they are, given that their music isn't interesting to listen to in terms of like beats or rapping ability or anything, so I assume it must be sort of the comedy. But like the writing isn't that funny, it isn't really that clever, like there's rarely sort of a punchline that lands, and anything else is just the same, like money, hoes, drugs, ops, of like any other like basic trap music you hear at the moment. Sure, there are some songs here that are pleasant and it's a bit of fun, but everything they do, other people do better, so I don't really get it. 5 out of 10. Boris, the legendary Japanese rock band, have released their new Heavy Rocks album. I believe this is the third in a series that they've done. I'm not too familiar with Boris, honestly. The only other Boris album I have listened to is W, that they dropped earlier this year, which I absolutely adored. This is quite different from that. This is more just getting into, you know, heavy rock, as the name would suggest, sort of rock and metal stuff. It's loud, it's in your face, it's quite a bit of fun. I don't mind it at all. Some songs like My Name is Blank and Ruins are more just like straightforward rock tracks and end up kind of being my least favorite because of it. But where the album really shines, in my opinion, is when it gets a little bit weirder. The insane ghostly imagination, which starts to introduce some like electronic textures and almost like a sort of 4 to the floor dance beat with just this like pounding crunchy bass underneath the insane like metal rock things happening. It's very cool and very weird and I love it. I really like this album. It's got cool stuff going on. It's not something that would normally especially be my vibe, but I'm into it. 7 to 8 out of 10.
I'm wetter than her Katrina. Wet like Trina, ass on Frida, Queen Latifah, Shella Diva.
Next we come to our 2 little EPs. The first one I listened to is the new one from Doechii, She, Her, Black Bitch. Doechii, I'm sure we've all heard the track Persuasive. It's going around at the moment. Really, this EP is just the first track as like a show track, and then like the rest of the songs are there for whatever. Swamp Bitches, the opening track with Rico Nasty, is phenomenal. It is one of my favorite songs at the moment, probably one of my favorite songs of the year. The amount of flow switches and voice switches and beat switches that Doechii goes through is amazing, and each one is just better and more exciting than the last. And then Rico comes in on the back end with an incredible feature, and it's just amazing. It's bad bitch energy, it's vicious, it's ruthless, and it's cool as hell. I absolutely love it. Unfortunately, the rest of the EP is a bit just like whatever. Bitch I'm Nice is the next most energetic track, but it only lasts for like a minute and a half, and so it doesn't really have enough time to build up any momentum, even though I like where it's going. Bitches B is a lower key kind of R&B track, which is fine, but it really just doesn't do anything interesting, and the fact that it goes for 3.5 minutes means it just kind of gets boring. And then This Bitch Matters is kind of fun. I kind of like, it's got a laid back, almost like boom bap kind of feel, but again, it's quite short, and so it doesn't really get much time to do anything. And then we just finish off with the SZA remix of Persuasive, which I feel like is the worst version, because in the original song, that second verse where Doechii kind of ramps up the energy is instead replaced with SZA, who is great, but is not the most energetic person, and so it's kind of just like, there. Overall, it's a 6 out of 10. The other EP that I listened to is Icons by Doechii. Now, I didn't really know anything about Doechii. I've just played them at the radio gig I've started doing recently and really liked it, so I thought I'd check this EP out. And it's cute. It's super cute. A nice little electronic EP. It's nice kind of like digital stuff. It feels like the soundtrack to Portal, to the video game Portal. In fact, I'm pretty sure the turret voice line is literally sampled in one of the tracks. It's that kind of feel. There's a lot of like digitized voice lines that are a little bit cheeky, a little bit cute and fun. It's all a little bit like tongue-in-cheek while still just delivering really nice, gorgeous, textural, atmospheric electronic music. It's not an overly aggressive thing most of the time. It's just a nice little laid-back, chill vibe, but it never sort of lacks substance. It's still quite meaty and tasty the whole time. It's nice, it's pretty, and it's fun, and I like it quite a bit. 7 out of 10.
Round here, if it smell funny, onions getting peeled. Round here.
This Tobe Nwigwe album has sort of out of nowhere become one of my favorite hip-hop albums of the year. A couple years ago, I heard one of his songs and I thought, oh yeah, that's pretty cool. And then just kind of forgot about it. And then earlier this year, one of his TikToks promoting a single off of this album popped up in my feed. And I was like, oh, this sounds cool. And so I checked the song out and I was like, oh yeah, this is cool. And then finally this album dropped and yeah, it's cool. It's a very dynamic album, which I really like. All of the beats are kind of constantly adding elements and like shifting, and they never feel just like a still loop playing over and over again. But it's not just the production that's dynamic. Tobe's rapping is very interesting and varied. He can deliver big sort of aggressive energy when needed, like at the chant right at the very beginning of the album. But he can also do sort of lower key stuff, and he even sings a little bit. The features on this album are also amazing. Like there's a very strong list of names attached to this thing, including Pharrell, Earth Gang, 2 Chainz, Royce da 5'9", CeeLo Green, plus a ton of others. But this album also features Tobe's wife, Fat Nwigwe, on 6 of the 11 tracks, and she kills it every time that she's on. She absolutely elevates this album a whole heap. And just, yeah, everything about this album is really cool and really fun and really interesting and bright and dynamic and just really cool. I really like it. 8 out of 10. And the final album / mixtape that I listened to this week is the latest one from ELIO'S INFERNO. ELIO is an artist that I heard when she dropped that Charger song with Charli XCX, which I really like. This mixtape is kind of more of that, but without Charli XCX. Like it's trying to be Charli XCX and just doesn't really have any of the kind of like charm or excitement. It's just the sort of basic electro bubbly pop songs. Nothing's bad, but nothing is really memorable or notable. ELIO'S voice doesn't really do a heap. There's a very heavy auto-tune on it, which is normally something that I like, but it doesn't sound bad, but it just doesn't really do anything all that interesting. Though there are a couple portions on the mixtape where she kind of injects a little bit more personality into it, and it's not like it's all just very sort of low-key and whatever either. There are a few tracks that kind of bring the energy up a little bit, and those are definitely the more interesting songs on the album, tracks like Typecast or Read the Room. But on the whole, it's a pleasant listen that will not be sticking with you, but definitely it's worth a shot if you like that kind of style. 6 out of 10. And that is what I have listened to this week. Have you listened to any of these albums, mixtapes, EPs? Let me know your thoughts on them. I'd love to hear it. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe, blah, 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 blah. Otherwise, I will see you next week. Hopefully, I don't just do this once and then forget to do it ever again. Hopefully, I actually stick with it. So hopefully, you'll see this kind of video again next week. And otherwise, I will catch you later. Love you. Bye.